be safe or safe as possible. Additional personnel will likely be assigned to this fire as this continues to go. And you heard from our fire partners that there is no containment there. I do want to split it up into two. I want to start talking about the Eaton fire first. Currently, there are evacuation orders in Pasadena, Altadena, and Sierra Madre. Evacuation orders, there are approximately 32,500 residents under evacuation orders and approximately 13,186 structures that we deem at risk, and that could grow. Evacuation warnings, approximately 38,600 residents are under evacuation warnings and approximately 14,342 structures are at risk. At 4 a.m. this morning, the evacuation orders did expand to parts of the city of Duarte, Monrovia, and La Cañada. And again, we continue to assess that. That's evolving. That's going to change. So I encourage you to consistently pay attention to all sources of information so you're ready to go when you are given that order, if that does come. As information's changing, even as I was driving up here, even as I'm walking up to this podium, I'm getting messages about several of our employees who have lost their homes in the last several hours. I don't know how many because we are still gathering that information, but we all live here in Los Angeles County, so we are impacted. So we're going to make sure that within our department, we're wrapping our arms around our employees just like we do with community members. Again, as I was coming up here, I did find out that we did have 2 fatalities in this area. I don't have any specifics. There is a lot of damage out there. We're still in the process of doing these assessments, trying to still save lives. So this information is going to change. The Altadena Sheriff's Station itself was evacuated, and it was at least limited on fire. There was some fire at the Altadena station, but we did have to clear out all of our employees out of there. I'm hearing some miraculous stories, and they're just barely coming in, of our deputies who were trying to evacuate the Altadena station, and then residents were running up from different locations around there, asking them for assistance in getting them out of their structures. And from what I understand, they were barely able to get people out before these structures started burning. There's just heroic stories of what our deputies are doing out there from last night and this morning. I want to make sure people know deputies are working to assist residents who are evacuating and continuing to make evacuation notices as we're speaking. They are securing areas that are evacuated, and it's always sad when I have to say this, but part of our responsibility is to make sure that no one loots or steals from our residents, our community members who are already being impacted. And I'm sad to report we made 2 arrests this morning for looting already. So if you are thinking about coming into any of these areas to steal from our residents, I'm going to tell you something. You're going to be caught, you're going to be arrested, and you're going to be prosecuted. Don't do that. Stay out of these areas. It's only for emergency workers and people who live there. We are, at this point, unable to clearly determine the extent of damage at this point because the conditions are rapidly evolving and the destruction needs to be assessed as the daylight hours have come forward. I do know that I've lost at least 1 sheriff's black and white to a fire. Thank God that the deputy is okay, but deputies continue to be on patrol throughout the road closure areas to ensure evacuation areas remain closed to the public. All schools in the Pasadena Unified School District are closed. There is a road closure at Altadena Drive from Allen to New York Drive. For those in need of shelter, please head to the Pasadena Convention Center, located at 300 East Green Street in the city of Pasadena, and we're working with them in Unified Command and in partnership as well. For animals, there are established shelters at Large Animal Shelter Rose Bowl Stadium at 1001 Rose Bowl Drive in Pasadena, Small Animal Shelter Pasadena Humane Society at 361 South Raymond Avenue in Pasadena. I'm going to switch gears now to the Palisades fire that we've been heavily involved in with our partners, again with LAPD LA City Fire and everyone else that's up there working. As of this morning, the fire was still burning in that area. That's impacting our residents. Evacuations are in effect, continuously in effect for the city of Calabasas, the city of Malibu, Los Angeles City, Pacific Palisades, and unincorporated area of Los Angeles County and Topanga Canyon. Evacuation orders are approximately 37,000 residents under evacuation orders and approximately 15,000 structures at risk. Again, that's specifically for the Palisades fire. Evacuation warnings, approximately 20,000 residents are under evacuation warnings and approximately 6,500 structures are at risk. There have been minor injuries, and our partners at the fire department have talked about those, and several, unfortunately, structures that have been lost, and we're still assessing those. Bear with me, I'm almost there. There's a lot of information, very important information. There are several road closures which can change rapidly. The 10 freeway at Lincoln Boulevard, southbound PCH at Las Flores Canyon, southbound PCH at Topanga.
All right, we have been monitoring a news conference underway in Los Angeles describing the impact, what authorities know so far about the various fires burning in Southern California, the largest of which is in Pacific Palisades, some 5,000 acres destroyed there. Another large one to the northeast of Los Angeles, near Altadena, the Pasadena area, where there have been 2 fatalities. Overall, over 1,000 structures have been damaged or destroyed in these fires. A third fire burning in the Silmar area, that would be north of Los Angeles. Let's go straight to Jacob Soboroff in Palisades, California right now. This is the scene we've been watching throughout the night and into the early part of today. Homes, many of them beachfront homes along the famed Pacific Coast Highway, destroyed. Jacob, describe the situation there now. The sun obviously up. How is that affecting things?
Lester, it feels, and I'm trying not to exaggerate here, catastrophic, disastrous. Something, I think, the likes of which people like myself, who's a lifelong resident not only of Los Angeles, the city of Los Angeles, but also of this neighborhood of Pacific Palisades, where I was born and raised, has never seen before. There are 23,000 people that live in this beautiful coastal community between the foothills of the Santa Monica Mountains and the Pacific Ocean. And those tens of thousands of people have been ordered to evacuate because of exactly what you're seeing. This used to be a house, and everywhere you look, there are scenes just like this. Up and down Sunset Boulevard, the famed Sunset Boulevard from where I'm standing right now, all the way into the Palisades Village, every marker of this once vibrant community is gone. The grocery stores are gone, both of them. The gas stations are gone. Doctors' offices are gone. The public library, where I grew up going as a child and have brought my own children, gone. What's different about this? How could this have happened? These are the questions that I continue to hear asked. And the answer is what you heard in that press conference. The reason that the air quality is so awful right now, as they were discussing, is that these are hurricane force winds that we have seen gusting in the Los Angeles area. And it was a tinderbox ready to go. We have had virtually no rain over the course of the last several months after 2 years. A pretty intense rain, unusual for Southern California, where we're so used to droughts. And everything went up in an instant. It started in the Palisades Highlands, where you might have seen those pictures of what seemed like hundreds of cars abandoned on the side of the road, people literally running for their lives, bulldozers clearing the streets so first responders could come in. And to echo what you heard from the folks looking out for the life and safety of the people in Los Angeles at that press conference, there's a mutual aid situation going on right now in Los Angeles, meaning it's the Los Angeles City Fire Department, the Los Angeles County Fire Department, neighboring jurisdictions like Malibu, Santa Monica have come to help here. The Los Angeles Police Department is on a modified citywide tactical alert, which means some of the nearly 9,000 or 10,000 police officers that are all called into duty today throughout the city of Los Angeles are being dispatched here to not only order evacuations for people who may not have left, and if there are anybody who is still in a home right now, it is well past time to get out, but also to control traffic, to keep people out, to let the first responders do their job. Lester, I think a lot of times we think about what the big one might look like as far as an earthquake in Southern California. Well, this is the big one when it comes to a fire here, Lester.
Yeah, Jacob, I've been covering wildfires in northern and southern California since the earliest days of my career, going back into the late 70s. I've never seen anything like this. Do you agree?
There's no doubt about it. The idea that LA is a city of communities, Lester. You know this just as well as anyone from the time that you have spent here. And Pacific Palisades is one of those vibrant communities. Pacific Palisades, for all intents and purposes, as we know it, has been wiped off the map as I'm speaking to you today from a neighborhood that I grew up a couple streets away from, Lester. It is a bleak situation. It's going to take not months but years to recover, and countless dollars, the toll of which we don't know yet.
All right, Jacob, I know you and your team are putting in the long hours in a dangerous situation, so please stay safe. Let's go to Al Roker now. Let's get the latest in the forecast. Al, the worst is yet to come. There's still some high winds in this storm, or this windstorm.
That's right, and it is, actually, this is, for all intents and purposes, a fire king. Okay, we're talking about hurricane force winds with a firestorm attached to it. Right now, almost 3,000 acres, the Palisades fire, the Eaton fire, 2,200 acres, First fire, 500, and we're actually picking up particulate matter on the radar from these fires. That's how bad it is. Wind or gust right now, sustained winds, 45 to 95 miles per hour. You can see from Topanga Canyon all the way to Pacific Palisades. Now, here's what we are looking at. This is what's causing all these problems. These destructive winds, 100 mile per hour gusts. We're talking about the humidity, single digits, and that leads to explosive fire growth. So 19 million people at risk north of Ventura all the way down to San Diego. It's a particularly dangerous situation. And the fire risk right now, critical, just north of Los Angeles, to Santa Maria and Oxnard, all the way down to Temecula and further south. We've got a critical to extreme risk for these areas. Here's what's happening. We've got a pressure gradient. High pressure to the north, low pressure to the south, and those winds are being squeezed between the two pressure systems. And what that's doing is bringing those Santa Ana winds, powerful winds coming in here. Add to that the low humidity and the fact that since October 1st, less than 10% of average rainfall has fallen in Southern California. And again, those winds, the big problem. Wind gust, 69 in Simi Valley, Los Angeles, 63, Mission Viejo, 52 mile per hour wind gust, and that's going to be the problem over the next 12 to 18 hours. Those wind gusts are going to be such that it's going to be hard for those firefighters to put up aircraft to be able to take a look at what's going on and to drop water on the cluster. So right now, we've got at least another 18 hours of explosively dangerous conditions.
Not good at all. Al Roker, thank you. And that concludes this NBC News special report. We'll have much more ahead on our streaming network, NBC News Now, online at NBCNews.com, and of course, a full wrap-up tonight when I see you here for NBC Nightly News. I'm Lester Holt. Good day, everyone. Thanks for watching. Stay updated about breaking news and top stories on the NBC News app, or follow us on social media.
Top story coming on the air right now with breaking news out of Los Angeles, and that's because the city is under a state of emergency as firefighters work to contain multiple dangerous wildfires ripping through the city of Angels. This is a live look right now, and you can see in the distance there, that is not a cloud. That is a massive smoke-filled sky. You can no longer see the horizon there. This is looking out from Los Angeles International Airport, and you can see the danger right now that the city of Los Angeles is facing. It is shrouded in smoke. The second largest city in the country, millions of people there, and of course the center of the entertainment universe, now gripped by this fast-moving blaze because of those winds. Chilling new images tonight of cars burning in the streets, traffic snarl on major highways as several drivers, had to actually abandon their vehicles. The flames tearing through the iconic Hollywood Hills. Officials say dry conditions on the ground and whipping winds are fueling the spread, making the wildfire even more dangerous than recent ones in the region. The cloud of smoke over LA visible for miles. Miraculously, authorities saying tonight that no injuries yet have been reported, but the governor was just saying some people did not heed the evacuation orders. Now, the fire scorching more than 1,200 acres and counting, powered by strong winds that could reach up to 100 miles per hour. At least 250 firefighters have been deployed to fight the blaze. You're talking about firefighters from all over the state and all over Southern California. With 19 million people under red 5 warnings. Many of them also in the evacuation zone, which covers part of the northwest LA area. This is where the fire is happening right now, the evacuation zones. It is in the Palisades, that area of Los Angeles right there. It's threatening Santa Monica and the surrounding communities. Now, also, Will Rogers Beach, which is a very popular tourist destination near Santa Monica, has been evacuated as well. Residents seem grabbing what belongings they can carry and fleeing their homes. This is what the scene looks like, at least in one neighborhood. 30,000 people are now under evacuation orders. We want to begin our coverage tonight with Liz Kreutz, who's live for us tonight in Los Angeles. Liz, I want you to walk our viewers through what your day has been like over the past couple of hours. I know you were in some type of danger. You had to get out and reconnect with your crew. Talk to us about what you're seeing there behind you.
Hey, Tom, yeah, it has been a really volatile, chaotic day for us, for so many people here right now. We made it out of the area where we had gotten stuck along with others in gridlock traffic. At one point, there were flames on both sides of the road. A bulldozer had to come through and push through abandoned cars to create a path, which is how we made it here to the Pacific Coast Highway. It is extremely windy. Just before you came to me, it felt like it was going to knock us over. It feels like the winds are pushing the flames towards the coast right now. We were seeing flames in the distance just moments ago. You see that intense smoke, and this is just getting started. Tonight, panic in the Pacific Palisades as a wind-driven wildfire blazes through one of Southern California's most iconic neighborhoods.
People are panicking in the parking lot. So there's about an hour wait at the bottom of Palisades Drive.
I rushed over here to pack my belongings, and I got the evacuation orders.
Multiple homes burning, with residents told to get out. Some people getting trapped.
The homeowners are saying they're unable to access any exit routes. There's fire on both sides of the roads.
Many abandoning their cars in the gridlock traffic. Fire crews using a bulldozer to push cars out of the way to clear a path. Clear and bumper-to-bumper traffic right now as hundreds of people try to get out. You can see flames here on both sides of the road with very little visibility.
Right around, up and around those two homes, they didn't catch fire, but everything around them.
Our NBC Los Angeles station inside this hard-hit neighborhood.
This is a large clock here. A large, what looks like a dancing, very beautiful family clock here on the ground. There are also photo albums that the firefighters pulled from the home just minutes before the flames overtook it, because they said that they felt like they at least wanted to face something.
Smoke from the growing fire seen for miles around LA, where another brush fire ignited in West Hollywood. This is something you hardly ever see. We were in the heart of LA on Sunset Boulevard, where there was a brush fire that shut down the road here. All these firefighters trying to get ahead of the wind, putting out the flames that were up in these hills. Firefighters using airdrops to put out the flames. Tonight, 19 million people under red flag warnings, with wind gusts throughout the state expected to reach 100 miles per hour in some areas, sending trees onto cars and power lines.
The only thing I heard above that wind was the power lines popping.
The intense smoke creating dangerous air quality across Southern California, with the firefight continuing into the night, where high winds are expected to only further fan the flames.
And Liz, we know that a news conference was just taking place before we came on the air. Update our viewers with any important information that came out of that news conference.
Yeah, Tom, so right now we know that this fire has exploded to more than 1,200 acres. 30,000 people are under evacuation orders right now. 10,000 structures are threatened right now. We know of multiple homes that have burned. We've also heard reports of people trapped, although officials are saying right now that there are no reports of injuries, which is truly remarkable, Tom, considering how fast this fire came through this neighborhood. But again, the winds are picking up, and the winds are expected to just grow throughout the night and fan the flames. We'll see, Tom.
Liz, there was a remarkable moment there in your story where you showed exactly what people in Los Angeles, some people in Los Angeles, were going through. There was fire on both sides of your news vehicle. How did you and the crew, how were you guys able to get out of that?
Yeah, so, in that moment, of course, we had a moment where we realized, okay, this is not a great situation to be in, since behind us and in front of us was gridlock, back-to-back traffic. We did look on the map, and we knew that about a half mile in front of us was an area which we would call defensible space. It was a strip mall where there was a Starbucks, so our get-out plan, if we needed to, was to get out and walk on foot to that area. Thankfully, right away, there was a firefighters that came around. They came and knocked on our window. They told us, you're okay, you're going to be safe, just keep your windows rolled up, hang tight, and they put out the flames around us.
You know,
So
Los Angeles is
remarkable work, all this firefighters.
yeah, incredible. Los Angeles is a massive city. We've seen some images out of LAX. Have they stopped flights yet? What is sort of the concern at the airports? And then give me sort of a big picture perspective. Is this crippling the city of Los Angeles, or is this just happening in a corner of that massive city?
Yeah, well, we've heard that flights out of the Burbank airport, which is a smaller airport here in LA, have stopped right now. It's just extraordinarily smoky. And you know traffic, Tom, is bad in LA as it is. This has had a ripple effect, creating congestion throughout the city, particularly in this area. But this is an extraordinarily populated area. It's also created extreme smoky conditions that are impacting people beyond this western part of the city. And so it's having a ripple effect. And on top of that, like I said, there was that fire on Sunset Boulevard in West Hollywood. So that created its own level of congestion. And then throughout the day, there have been smaller spot fires down in San Diego, in Riverside County. So this whole region, millions of people, Tom, have been impacted by this.
Okay, Liz Kreutz, starting us off tonight on Top Story on this breaking news. Liz, thank you to you and your crew. Please stay safe. I want to go to national climate reporter Chase Kane, who's on the ground in the fire zone at the intersection of the Pacific Coast Highway and, as you heard Liz mention, Sunset Boulevard. A very active scene behind you there, Chase. Talk to us about what you've been seeing over the past couple of hours.
Yeah, Tom, didn't realize I was actually just up the road from where Liz was, so I was making my way on foot after they had evacuated people out of those vehicles on Sunset Boulevard. This is the Pacific Coast Highway right here behind me, the famous highway that goes up the California coast. You can see these utility crews that have come in. Just a few moments ago, there was an ember that caught fire at the bottom of this power pole. So one of the gas station employees had come out with a garden hose and was doing his best to try and spray down the flame that was burning there at the base of this power line. Also at a gas station, not a great combination there. So that's why the utility crews are here. It looks like cutting power to the area. We are basically in the direction of where the wind and the smoke has been blowing. As the wind gusts pick up, we just get these thick balls of black smoke, Tom. Even as I was making my way down here to my crew on foot, I was seeing home after home burning, because with winds this strong, it picks up that ember and it just goes flying through the air. Whatever it catches is on fire. In some cases, that was homes, it was trees, it was cars, which have been abandoned here along Sunset Boulevard, Tom. Again, this entire area is under a mandatory evacuation. Nearly 30,000 people have been asked to leave their homes, and at times, police have been kind of frantic, just running through with sirens, with announcements, trying to get people out of the way, because this fire, this wind, is making things incredibly dangerous, Tom.
Chase, you know, your photographer there, when he goes wide on you, we can see that web of power lines above your head. And you mentioned that they were cutting power there. I know they've cut power to tens of thousands of residents in Los Angeles. Explain to our viewers why they're doing that, right? Because this is reminiscent of what we saw in Lahaina in Hawaii during the wildfires, where if you have down power lines, you have a wildfire, it can reignite other fires that have been put out.
Exactly. One live power line comes down, then all of a sudden you have a brand new fire. You don't need that making the situation worse, because with these winds blowing 50 miles an hour, tropical storm force winds, Tom, when you have winds that are blowing that strong, they're already doing enough damage, pulling embers from existing fires. You don't want a power line adding yet another fire on top of that.
Yeah, and then finally, I'm not seeing a lot of cars in your area. Is it safe to say the people who were going to get out or who needed to get out have been able to get out, or is it because the road where you are is now closed?
This road, Pacific Coast Highway and Sunset, have been closed now for several hours. There was a stream of even just a couple of cars now that are coming through, as people maybe have gotten trapped in the area, and so they're saying, hey, you got to get the car out of the way because we need to be able to get fire trucks through here. You see a couple of those cars right now. Some people maybe were trapped in their homes. Some people were trying to get home to get their last few equipment things. But yeah, I mean, this is really it. They're trying to keep the roads clear so that they can still protect what they can.
Chase, if your photographer can stay on this shot here, I mean, give me a rough estimate here. Is the visibility about 100 feet, 100 yards? I mean, it looks like you can't look too far out there because all you see is smoke.
Yeah, I would say if you're a football fan, 50, 60 yards, certainly not a full football field of visibility. You might be able to see, you see the gas station here, if you pan just to the right, you see a Taco Bell sign, and just behind that, there's a grocery store. There's a condo building even further behind that. This is an incredibly densely populated area right here along the coast. If this was clear, if the smoke wasn't here, you'd be able to see the famous Santa Monica Pier with that iconic Ferris wheel on the pier. That would be within our line of sight. But again, you can only see maybe 50 or 60 yards. And when those wind gusts pick up and blow that thick smoke through here, there have been times that I haven't even been able to see to the other side of the road, Tom.
Chase, I know you've been down there for a while. Do you know how much time the residents in that area were given to evacuate?
Some of them had minutes. Some of them had moments. I mean, there was one moment earlier where LA police came through and said, hey, there's a mobile home where the fire has just blown down this canyon toward this mobile home park, and we're struggling to get people out quickly enough. We also, when we were on with Hallie Jackson just a little while ago, there was a lady who was being pushed in a wheelchair through this closed road because she needed help to get out. I mean, she just wasn't able to move quickly. So it's dangerous for anyone right now, but imagine not being able to move quickly. Imagine needing help. That's what makes this especially dangerous for folks like that. Again, thankfully, the utility crews are here. Looks like they're turning off power. Some of the lights have gone dark inside the gas station, so that's a good sign.
And then finally, Chase, we've heard people evacuating, getting stuck in traffic, abandoning their vehicles, and then running towards the beach. Talk to us about the scenario of why that happened.
Well, because you had two things happen. This actually happened to me as well. We were not far behind Liz Kreutz. Basically, you had people who were being told, get out of here. So they are creating gridlock in one direction. The emergency alert is also going off in my ear on the phone right now. And then you have other people who were trying to get back home to their homes, Tom. So you had... So sorry about that, Tom. We're getting an emergency alert in my ear, if you can still hear me. But basically, you had people trying to get to their homes to get things out, and then you also had people trying to evacuate. So that's why you had that gridlock in both directions. You may be able to hear here in my earpiece these emergency alerts that are going out, trying to urge people to get out of harm's way, Tom.
Okay, Chase, please stay safe with your crew. Obviously, if you guys are in danger, get to some safety. We're going to stand by for it, so I'm sure we're going to come back to you. I do want to get to Dr. Akshay Sayal. He's an NBC News medical fellow, but he happens to be on the scene in Santa Monica, so we've enlisted him to report for us during this breaking news situation. So, Doctor, first things first, talk to us about the air quality where you are, and we see that massive smoke cloud behind you.
Hey, Tom, yeah, so this cloud here, those are clouds. That's all smoke, Tom. And where I live in Santa Monica, we're about a mile out from the mandatory evacuation orders. Just for folks who don't know, Santa Monica is just immediately south of the Pacific Palisades, about a mile or so away. And so essentially we've been watching that cloud come closer and closer to us. And so, Tom, I work at UCLA Health. I'm a practicing physician there. And, we just heard from our emergency response system. So as of now, everything is on for business as usual. But we really are encouraging people to bring these out, these KN95s, if you are somebody who has asthma or heart disease or any sort of lung disease. It really is a good idea to bring this on, even if you aren't in the immediate vicinity.
I know you have your mask off because you're reporting live, but talk to me about the air quality there. How dangerous is it right now?
It's getting worse. I mean, to be just put it bluntly, it smells like garbage. It smells like smoke out here. And so we worry about those people with chronic disease, with asthma and other lung disease. It's not something you may see immediately. It may be something that you find now, but in a few days you really start to see that effect. And we've seen that as wildfires have taken hold in other parts of the country, including in Manhattan, just not too long ago. So, Tom, to answer your question, it is getting worse, and we're really, really urging people to put these on if you are nearby.
How fast, I'm sure you were watching it all day, how fast did this fire spread?
Well, I can tell you in the morning when I woke up, there was not a miss here. And over the span of a few hours, you're hearing sirens every few minutes here. Fire trucks presumably headed north to the Palisades. It's really spread over a matter of hours, Tom. What really worries us is that experts are predicting these winds to pick up in the night and to get worse. And so we're worried that this is only the beginning.
Okay, Dr. Akshay Sayal, thank you so much for joining our coverage. For more on the exploding wildfire, I'm joined live now by Sue Cole. She's the president of the Pacific Palisades Community Council. She had to evacuate, is now in the Westchester neighborhood of Los Angeles. Sue, walk me through why you had to evacuate and what you saw as you were leaving.
Well, the good news is, there's very little good news, but we've had notifications from the city for the last couple of days that we were going to have terrible wind conditions and a fire could easily erupt. So we were sort of on the ready. This morning started out normally heavy winds, and a lot of us in town heard at about 10:15, 10:20 that a fire had broken out. At first, the evacuation was was only meant for areas like the Highlands, the top of Bienvenida, areas that were in the hills. But very quickly, more notifications came saying everybody in town, needs to evacuate. I have calls from a lot of people saying, well, I don't think so. We're in the village, we're in the flats. I told everybody, take your pets, take your medications, take everything in your place and get out. My family left pretty quickly because I for one, am not a risk taker. So the main problem Palisades have, as you've seen on all the news reports, is that access in and out is so incredibly limited. You've got Sunset Boulevard to PCH, and these other streets that come down into Sunset get jammed and clogged so quickly. That's why people were, I'm sure, panicking and leaving their cars, just worried that they weren't able to get out.
Yeah, sorry to interrupt you. I just have a bit of an update now. The fire's now grown to 1,300 acres, so another 100 acres since we've been on the air. Do you think there's people stuck?
I would be very surprised if there weren't some people stuck. We have elderly people, we have people that can't walk, and unless they have a family member or neighbor at the ready helping them out, it's very frightening. Because, like I said, everything is jammed up. Even if you can get out of your house, you need to get out of the neighborhood, and it's not easy.
Sue Cole, we thank you for doing our coverage tonight. I'm glad you're in safer grounds right now. I do want to go back to Chase, who's on the scene there at Sunset Boulevard on Pacific Coast Highway. I also want to bring in our meteorologist, Bill Cairns. Bill, I'm going to start with you. Walk us through what Chase is seeing right now and sort of the conditions that are surrounding him and his team.
Yeah, let me give everyone a view of what areas have actually burned and what areas haven't. So here's Los Angeles, here's Malibu. This is where the fire is located, kind of in between the two here. And so closer view in, everywhere that's shaded in red here is acreage that have burned. And the first thing you'll notice, it's not like a solid area. It's not like a wave that's just raced through. The fire was spotting. Firefighters were originally fighting it here, but because it's so windy, the embers were getting in the air, they said it was like a half mile behind them. All of a sudden they'd turn around and they'd see a new fire starting. So that's why we have these different pockets. And you can notice we've got the fire all the way down to the coast. So the Pacific Coast Highway is down here on the edge, and then we get Sunset Boulevard, and then the road where all the cars got blocked, Palisades Drive, was the road that went up like this, up to the north here. And so it was a congestion point there where everyone everyone was trying to evacuate heading down. That's where the bulldozers had to go and push the cars to the side so the firefighters could get up there. But the fact that we had those embers burning to the south and then spotting down in the city, like where Chase is located, that's what really caught some people by surprise. The people were walking down Palisades Drive to where Chase is, and at the same time, new fires were forming and spotting. So as we go through the night, right now winds are about 40 to 60. They're going to gust up to 80 to 100. So this is kind of just the beginning. So all the areas that are still the hot spots here, we could have new spotting and new fires forming as the fire will burn to the south towards the coast. So firefighters will be trying to protect homes and structures all through the coastal areas here in Tonga Beach too as we go throughout the night. And then if any new fires form, obviously that's going to do the exact same thing as this one. So here's the current wind gust, 36 in downtown LA, or at the airport LAX, 43 of a night. That's where this fire is. But there's other high gusts too if we get any new fires. Tom, I did see one report called the Gulch Fire has just formed. That's a more remote area, so we're not as concerned with that one. But all night long, this is going to be going on.
Okay, Bill, stand by for us. I do want to go back to Chase. Chase, for our viewers that may not be familiar with Southern California, where you are right now, talk to us about some of the population centers as this fire moves further south and I guess moves further east, possibly with those winds. What are some of the population centers around LA that could be affected?
Yeah, I mean, Tom, this is a pretty densely populated area. Again, I mean, the Santa Monica Pier would just be in my line of sight in this direction if we could see through the smoke. And then back the opposite way to the left side of your screen, that would be Malibu. So Pacific Palisades is kind of situated at the edge of Los Angeles between Santa Monica and Malibu. Already 30,000 people that have been evacuated, but depending upon where new fires might pop up or if the existing ones spread, these evacuation orders could expand. You see the cars that are coming through here. One of the things that's happening, and I think you're doing a good job of maybe showing this on the map, is that these fires were spotting. So it's not like one continuous area. So there were people who were trapped in their homes, and police and fire said, "You can't get out. You just got to stay here. We're gonna to try and keep you safe as the fire truck comes through here. So now that the fire has shifted a bit, they're trying to get people out of there. They really just want people out of this entire area because, the winds have picked up a lot in the last hour, 40 to 60 miles an hour. It's hard to imagine 80 to 100, not hurricanes, but not big wildfire. When the conditions are this dry, it's been more than 8 months since Los Angeles got significant rainfall. So we are in a drought here in Southern California, and that truly makes this a dangerous, life-threatening situation.
And then before you go, Chase, in California right now, Los Angeles, around what time is sunset? Because we know there's about 300 firefighters that are trying to battle this blaze. Once the sun goes down, it's going to get even more dangerous. Do we know what time around roughly that's happening? Because it may even happen earlier with all the smoke clouding the sun right now.
Officially, sunset's around 5 o'clock, so we've got about 40 minutes left officially, but I can tell you this, it's been dark for a while because of the smoke, and actually just in the last few minutes, it's gotten a little bit brighter as the smoke has changed direction, as the wind has changed direction just a bit, so they don't have much daylight left. The good news is that fires and embers are easier to spot at night, but the bad news, as Bill mentioned, is that these winds are going to get stronger tonight, so we're really just heading into an even more dangerous situation.
Okay. Chase, you and your team stay safe. Bill, I'm going to let you have the last word here. What do you think is going to happen with the way the wind is pushing right now, and what can we expect come morning?
Yeah, in the beginning of this fire, it was kind of contained away from structures, but now that it's gotten into these structures, the latest updated map from CAL FIRE did show numerous blocks that actually, the fire is burning through, so you assume that a lot of those homes were lost. And because the heat produced in the embers from these homes when they burn, it easily spreads to more homes. So unfortunately, more structures are going to get lost overnight, especially as the winds begin to really increase and pick up. They're estimating maybe a couple dozen homes right now. By the time we get to the morning, that number may unfortunately double. We hope not, but with winds up to 100 miles per hour, you can easily picture that happening. The wild card, Tom, is, will new fires form, and where will they form? And what, will they be rural, or will they head through more communities? And this goes all the way down to San Diego tonight, too. So I know we're focusing on where this fire is, but this is, as dangerous a wind event as we've had in, Southern California in a couple of years. I mean, we're going to see wind damage even without the fires. And then if you get another fire that forms, look out, just like this one. And it relaxes about tomorrow about noon. So we got about 12 hours, a little, 16 hours of everyone on Indigo get a pray and new fires on form.
Bill Cameron's first tonight. Bill, we thank you for all of your coverage as well. Coming up, we're going to have much more on the wildfires ripping through LA. Liz Coyte's live on the fire line. Plus, new video just in the top story showing bulldozers removing abandoned cars on highways to make way for first responders rushing to the blaze. And we have new details tonight in the Cybertruck bombing in Las Vegas. Officials are revealing the suspect used AI to plan the attack. We're going to explain after this break. We're back now with the breaking news out of Los Angeles. I want to get right to Liz Coyte, who's live in the fire zone tonight. Liz, I don't know if there's a better image that says how devastating these fires are. You have fires in the canyons. You have palm trees on fire. Explain to our viewers where you are and what's going on.
Hey, Tom, we're in the same park, the same parking lot on the beach we were at just, 20 minutes ago when we were talking to you. Things have changed so fast. The winds have really picked up, and just behind me here, it's remarkable. You can just see those flames, the dark plume of smoke. This hill was untouched when we talked to you before. The embers, because of those strong winds, got blown, now up in flames. I can see in the distance to my right, there's homes over here in the ridge. There's flames behind those homes. Firefighters and first responders are just arriving to the scene here, and the flames have jumped the Pacific Coast Highway. And as you can see, those palm trees up in flames. And again, we were here. My producer, Jim Sita, he saw the ember, a small little ember, hit one of the palm trees. It started to ignite, and within 5 minutes, all 5 of those trees are up in flames, and you can see how much they're moving with the wind blowing them over. On the beach here, every trash can is blown over, just to give a sense of how strong and windy it is. And it's changing very fast as the winds move towards the coast, Tom.
And then, Liz, we're seeing some traffic behind you. Are those people, a lot of them are cop cars, are they people getting out? And which way is the way to safety, or is it too tough right now?
it's hard to know, right? Often it's like get to the coast because you have the beach here, and that's sort of a safe area, but the winds are pushing it here. And right before we came on with you, one of those cop cars drove by and did say on the speaker, you should get out. So, our crew is likely to do that when we're done talking to you and find a safe place, excuse me. And I did see a few people, mostly it's cleared out, Tom, but we have seen a few people who did walk by with suitcases on bikes trying to get out. And in that press conference, officials continue to reiterate, as did the governor, that if you are told to evacuate, you need to get out, you need to heed that warning. Thankfully, right now, we talked about that traffic. It's let up. Pacific Coast Highway is moving along. You can hear that siren right now, the cop telling that gentleman on a bike to get out.
Yeah, we're going to listen to him as well. Liz, we're going to let you go. You and your team, please get to some safety. Incredible reporting. When we return, we speak to someone who had to evacuate this fire. The race to get out before flames reach their home. Stay with us. Okay, we are back now with our continuing coverage of the wildfires in Los Angeles. It's grown to at least 1,300 acres. It's jumped the Pacific Coast Highway, so burning on one side of the highway and the canyons on the other side. Our teams are spread out across southern Los Angeles tonight covering the storm. We're going to bring you much more later in the broadcast. We do want to update two stories as we have some new reporting on the two big stories we've been following the last couple of days. The first, out of Las Vegas, Tom Winters here, who's broken a lot of news on both this story and New Orleans. Let's start with Vegas first. Talk to me about the new reporting you have on this bombing, if you will, and how AI played a role.
Right, so this is the incident that happened in the Trump Hotel that we were covering last week, and so much information came out today. What has been a huge concern, Tom, the entire past year or so, law enforcement agencies coast to coast, really globally, worried about when will AI be used by a terrorist or an attacker to help plan something out. And it appears in the United States, for the first time, AI was used, and it was used in this particular instance. The individual that you're looking at there, the person who drove that Cybertruck, he apparently was searching on one of the AI chat platforms of how much explosives do I need to put this bomb off? How many fireworks do I need to help with my explosive? He was even looking up one of the things that he had in the truck is a specific explosive powder that if you fire a bullet at it, but it has to be fired at a specific velocity, Tom. So it's going to be the right bullet at the right speed, and then that powder will explode. It's typically used for target shooting. He was looking for that information as well as information on, can I get a phone without having to register information? It was spitting back answers to him, and this is something that really...
Can I ask you maybe a blunt question, and it might be complicated, so I get it if you can't answer. Did AI assist in this bomb?
I think it is safe to say that he received information that could have helped him out. I will say this, there are AI, like if you go to any one of the AI mainstream chatbots right now and you said, hey, help me make a bomb, they will tell you, we can't do that, we won't do that, that'll hurt somebody. But if you start to tweak the questions a little bit, you might get some more information that is not perhaps readily accessible, or as we know from AI searching and AI assisted searches, Tom, we do it all the time, it might give you some information that would take you a long time to search and get. And that's where it appears it's going to be helpful. And somebody, law enforcement is really looking for additional cooperation from these AI companies. Hey, tell us when somebody starts to go down this rabbit hole.
Tom, a really important piece of reporting top story. I now want to go to New Orleans because we have more new reporting on New Orleans as well, and that terror attack that killed 14 people in the Big Easy. The FBI releasing new images of the man responsible for the fatal Bourbon Street branding as they try to piece together his motive. For more on this, I want to bring in Jesse Kirsch live tonight. Jesse, talk to me about what the new images show us and what we're learning.
Yeah, so Tom, let's go right to that picture. This is of the attacker from New Year's Day in New Orleans on Bourbon Street. When he was making one of his visits ahead of this attack in the months beforehand, the FBI releasing these images, they showed Jabbar riding a bike through the French Quarter. These were taken on Halloween, according to the FBI, and they're asking for anyone who might have come across him between 2 and 6 p.m. on Halloween in the French Quarter to reach out to them. We know previously that, according to authorities, he used smart glasses to record video while he was riding the bike through the French Quarter, and just a couple of months later, his deadly attack, Tom.
Yeah, they must have matched the information on those glasses to that surveillance camera to get that one image. I know you spoke with Louisiana's Attorney General. What did you learn?
Yeah, so she is now calling for a full review of safety planning leading up to New Year's Eve. And as we've continued to report on for a week now, Tom, there were warnings about the bollard system on Bourbon Street, the bollards being placed on Bourbon Street appear to not be as strong as they need to be, possibly to stop a terrorist threat. So there are all these questions about security planning around Bourbon Street, both for New Year's Eve, other major events, but also just for day-to-day, what they have in place there. And I asked the Attorney General if she knows at this point, based on the early days of her looking into this, who was actually, at the end of the day, the person in charge of security for Bourbon Street on New Year's Eve. And here's part of my exchange with the Attorney General when asking about that. At this point, you don't know definitively if at the end of the day, with the superintendent who should have been calling the shots versus the Department of Homeland
I just think
Security.
there's a lot of competing factors that are in play, and I don't want to prematurely judge who or what or why until we collect all of that information.
Part of what she's referring to there, Tom, is that the French Quarter has a lot of overlapping jurisdictions in terms of the types of organizations and law enforcement groups that have various amounts of authority there. And so that is one of the questions right now, is who was in charge? Was it multiple people who would have been making decisions? And that's something we're hoping to get more information on. There's a public works hearing tomorrow with the city council here that is going to be addressing this. And the AG here in Louisiana says she hopes to have at least some preliminary findings by April, Tom.
Yeah, that clock is ticking as the Super Bowl's right around the corner, as you know, Jesse. Okay, Jesse, first for us tonight. Jesse, we thank you. Our breaking coverage of the Los Angeles wildfires will continue right after this short break. Winds fueling these fast-moving flames, people forced to work from their homes. We speak to a resident who had to evacuate in a moment's notice. And these are live pictures tonight from Los Angeles, showing smoke filling that sky over California. Stay with us. Looking live right now at those wildfires in Los Angeles and the Palisades fire that are now threatening Santa Monica as well. 1,300 acres burning right now. Firefighters do not have this under control. There's 300 of them trying to put out this fire. They have helicopters, they have airplanes, as you saw there. People have been evacuated from their homes. So far, no reports of injuries, but it's still very, very early. You can see the type of damage this fire is doing. Someone who did evacuate, Stephanie Limonati, she joins us live now. She's a Palisades resident, and she evacuated from her Highlands home and called 911 after seeing a fire start in her backyard. Stephanie, pick up the story from there for me.
Yeah, so I believe I was the first 911 caller, and I was just sitting with my brother in the office of our house, and I went to get up to go to the bathroom or something, and I looked outside, and I just saw smoke and orange and red flames, and I screamed, "Fire, fire, we have to go." And we ran outside, we started telling our neighbors, we got the hoses out, started, putting water everywhere we could in our backyard, and then we just got out.
Stephanie, we're seeing the photos that you sent us in. Talk to me about what you thought when you sort of saw those plumes of smoke that turned into clouds of smoke and the flames in the distance.
I was just scared. It was just coming faster than it really was, and I just wanted to make sure my family got out safely, and my dogs and my neighbors as well. It was just moving so fast. It was just all a blur, kind of. We were just running around, just trying to get out of there.
Sometimes, these things pop up and they spread so fast. Emergency responders and government officials can't get the warnings out. Were you guys warned about this? Did you know this was coming?
No. I literally just looked out the window. Just on my normal Tuesday morning, and there were just flames everywhere.
The wind, when did it start to pick up? Has it been very strong over the last few days, or did it kind of just start today?
Last night, it really picked up. You could hear it howling throughout the night. And then this morning, when I was walking my dogs with my brother, we were talking about how windy it was and how scary that can be for fires. And then, I don't know, maybe 20 minutes later, the fire started.
You see all those cars, we saw earlier in the broadcast, those cars that were abandoned right on the highways. People tried to get out, and they couldn't. The gridlock was too bad, and the fire was jumping the Pacific Coast Highway. Do you think there's people that weren't able to evacuate because it was moving so fast?
I think so. I think a lot of people were having a hard time getting out because there's really only one way in and one way out of the Highlands. So I think, people were scared, and that's why they did jump out of their cars. That was their way out instead of just being stuck there.
What's your sense, being somebody who lives in California? I know there was some really bad wildfires back in 2011 that spread so fast because of the winds, this sort of wind event coupled with a wildfire. What's your sense of what's going to happen in the days ahead there in California?
I'm just hoping that the wind starts to die down, and I know we have the best fire team ever that's going to help do their best to save as many houses and as many people as they can, and that's kind of all we can hope for.
Have you been able to talk to family and friends? Were they able to get out?
Yeah, my mom's friend who lives in the area, it actually took her a while to get out. She was stuck at her house due to, cars and fire trucks and everything, but she was able to get out. My family was able to get out. I know my neighbors and everybody in my cul-de-sac were also able to get out.
And so, since you've evacuated, are they opening shelters there? Have you heard from people that they needed since you're evacuating? I think it was around 30,000 people at last check.
Yeah, so I saw they were maybe opening a spot in Westwood, but my grandfather lives out in Santa Clarita, so we immediately called him and said, hey, can we head out to you? And he said, come on this way. So we've been hunkered down here ever since, just watching the news and waiting to see what happens.
And have you ever seen it this bad?
No. I don't think, well, maybe this bad, but not this close to home.
Do you have any idea of if the fire or the wind shifted or if it was coming directly from your home?
I'm not sure. The last I saw on our ring cameras is we saw some firefighters running into our backyard with hoses, and the next time we went to go check, all the internet and the power's been cut, so we can't access our cameras anymore.
What was that like? To see that?
Scary. Very scary. Because we weren't sure if our house was on fire, they were putting water on our roof, maybe to help if an ember went by.
Yeah, you never know. Stephanie Libanati, I'll be thinking about you tonight. I'm sorry you and your family are going through this right now. I know it's really tough, but I'm sure we'll stay in touch. And we thank you, of course, for joining the show. We're going to be right back after this short break.
Company with a guy like Tony G has got to be just like surreal. But I gotta say, Pat, you're the chief just out there in Kansas City. Chief, it's great.
We are back now with the state of emergency in Los Angeles. 1,300 acres on fire right now, burning in the Palisades, just west of downtown Los Angeles. 30,000 people have been told to evacuate, some not able to get out in time, having to evacuate from their cars as they were on the highways. Flames spreading as far as the eye can see, the sky filled with plumes of smoke, more than 300 firefighters right now on the scene.
This is not done yet. What I'm gonna do.
Chase Kane, who's been following this from the get-go with his team. Chase, you're joining Top Story Live now. I saw a lot more action behind you about maybe 30 seconds ago. There were a lot of police cruisers around there. Have they been telling people just to get out and for the traffic to sort of flow in one direction?
Yeah, exactly, Tom. This is the Pacific Coast Highway, the famous highway that runs along the California coast. It's typically a beautiful place to be. Not right now. You're also probably noticing these wind gusts that have certainly picked up in just the last couple of hours. What you're noticing is these people are coming down Sunset Boulevard onto the PCH. Off to the right of your screen would be towards Santa Monica. They're trying to get people to go down to Santa Monica so they can sort of fan out into the rest of Los Angeles. There were a number of people back here in Topanga Canyon, up Sunset Boulevard, and some of the canyons, the densely populated canyons, just in these hills off the Pacific coast, who have basically been surrounded by flames as these fires have, picked up embers and they create new hotspots. It's called spotting. So as that happened, some folks weren't able to get out right away. So that is part of what they've been up to, is trying to just get those last few people out of there, because as these winds pick up overnight, Tom, Bill Cairns was telling us earlier, 80 to 100 mile an hour winds, possible hurricane force winds overnight. They don't want to take any chances of anyone being left in harm's way, with really no way to control these flames.
Chase, we're looking at some of the video that I'm being told by the control room that you actually shot, and there's a lot of fire and a lot of flames. How quickly did this fire sort of explode?
And Tom, if you can hear me, we've lost signal, so stand by if you can hear me.
We still have you. You can hear me. We still have you, Chase. You there? Can you hear me? Okay, we're going to go to Bill. We're going to come right back to Chase once we have him, and he comes back live for us. Bill, obviously this is an ongoing situation. It's a live situation, and there's a state of emergency in Los Angeles right now. You can see the wind, how strong it was, just blowing this sort of flak jacket right there. Talk to us about what you're seeing tonight on the radar and how bad it's going to get.
Yeah, and first, like, we changed. It's amazing all the pictures we've been showing you is all through cell phones. And it's amazing that the cell phone coverage has stayed up throughout this event. A, because everyone evacuated has been wanting to use their phones to communicate with loved ones. And then we have all our reporter crews out there, and, plus fire crews. So, yeah, it's not surprising that we have some technological issues. Now, with the fire itself, it is still spreading. It's still spotting, as we call it. New fires are still forming, but we've already made its way down to the ocean. So now it's just going to be, we're not going to see the increase of the day during the day today, because it doesn't really have a lot of places to go. Tonight, we're going to get to the extreme wind category. Today was what we call the second highest level. Tonight and tomorrow, we get to the extreme, and that's when we have the lowest relative humidity, the highest winds, and that's when the fire danger would be the greatest. You saw how bad it was today. Imagine if any new fires form tonight, or into tomorrow. In downtown LA, 63. In Malibu, which, not too far away from where this fire is, gust expected tonight to 74 miles per hour. So these are pretty unheard of numbers. These are not on the top of mountains. These are the numbers that are in actually the cities at the foothills, at the base of the mountains. It'll be even higher once you get up there in higher terrain. So this is the map for tonight into tomorrow. So we have an elevated risk, critical, and extreme risk. It's pretty rare. The extreme fire risk is only supposed to be issued on average about once every 4 years. We just had it a couple of weeks ago with the Franklin fire, that horrible one near Malibu. There was another one in November. So yeah, Southern California's been doing this way too often. Santa Clarita, Glendale, all the mountainous areas here, just north of LA, just north of where this fire is located in Malibu. If any fires form in this area late tonight, that's going to be the area of concern. And we will notice this does head all the way down the coast too, outside Oceanside and the mountains outside of San Diego. We're worried tonight with those high wind gusts, power lines coming down, sparking new fires. That's going to be a big concern too. And there's been a huge arsonist in Southern California, lots of fires lately. So I know we got to watch out for that. We go to Los Angeles, sort of get a sense as there's a state of emergency tonight. And as you highlighted along with our crews, it is sort of in this corner of Los Angeles that it continues to grow. When do you think we'll get a sense of this thing is now growing completely out of control,